DFS streaks, they help you print money every single week. Fanspeak. No cap, no gimmicks, we breaking limits. NFL bets, yeah, we live this business. Meg and Steve, that OG vision. Draft room killers on a lifelong mission. More stress to the Sunday spread. Fanspeak's that voice that's inside your head. Best ball, DFS, NFL bets. They built it brick by brick, no regrets. Fanspeak. Fanspeak team, printing money since day one. Fanspeak, forever.
Welcome back. We are back. Another day of Talking Ball Steveospeak. Big board is live and launched. We have coaching news. We have, just time to kill before the Super Bowl. But no, we're having fun. This is what best ball is about. We get to draft and talk football year round during the off season. Start making predictions and projections on what moves are good where. And so yeah, we are going to get ready and do a couple big board drafts today. Do at least two, maybe do a third, maybe throw in a little board or something. We'll see what people want to do. Definitely a lot to talk about. A few coaching things came in the pipeline this morning. So we will get to it in a second. Let me hit up chat. As we start, we got our guy Eddie in here. Let's fucking go. We will go. We are going to go, and we're going to win some money. Like the promo says, we're gonna try and find some winners to get that 200K. I was a couple years ago. I was fourth. I was close. No cigar for the top prize. I'm looking to get it this year, and I know you are too. We got Steve McDivitt in here to quote Steve from Slow Draft Hell. The shoveling task is not good. Yeah, no, I feel that pain. Shoveling is not fun. I know he mentioned in our Discord, and feel free to anyone who's not in the Discord, link is in the description below. Jump in, it's free. We're talking football, we're talking best ball, talk bets, we talk everything. But I think he mentioned he was visiting family, I believe in Florida, back in Boston, and now he has to shovel. So yes, we feel that pain. That is not great. Mike, we got Mike Robin here, the one man with all the answers, who to draft and how to get ladies with that AARP discount. You know it. We got Blue Blood UNC in here. Let's go. That intro gets me hyped every time. Yeah, we got to, of course, thank Jamie Pirog doing our intro, doing the guys' intro for Degen Dads. Also, I know has did a couple for Who Ames. So he is just crushing it with those. So right now I'm not doing any slows, I will obviously be doing maxing and all that, but I'm going to mainly do these fast for now. These tournaments are going to be open for some time. We'll see if we get more tournaments on UD pre-draft. I'm guessing, hoping we do, but we'll have to see. So right now I'm not doing any slows. I'll do some more as we get into February and stuff, but just since it's pre-Super Bowl, we're still figuring out all the there's still 3 teams without coaches. It sounds like the Browns might be circling that decision. Other teams without OCs. We got retirement situations. We have, just figuring out more about rookies and free agents, stuff like that. So once we get into like February, March, then I'll start hitting up more slows for sure. We got my sister in here, as she mentioned, my rankings that you'll see me draft with. You can get them on our Substack under the Best Ball Rankings Hub. So she posted those, got those up. So if you want to check those out, you can do so. We got Hulk Smash Potatoes saying, hey, hope you're doing well. We got a guy who Hames in here. I know he streamed last night. Not sure if he's going to stream today. But he is, of course, crushing it as well. And then Mike Rob got them slow NFL, MLB, PGA, UD drafts going. I never will get more urgency each day. I love it. Yeah, I will start doing more MLB. I'll do a couple MLB on stream for sure. I'll probably do more of those slow as well. Yeah, is this the real Steve? Who's Meg's favorite running back? Yep. Yeah, that's how you know. Yeah, just made the stream. Oh, nice. So let's get in. We will jump into a big board and just start talking stuff as we're drafting. In between, feel free to hit up any questions. certain teams. One thing I thought about is going over some team depth charts and kind of projecting where things are. But we'll get into a draft to start, and then maybe we'll do that afterwards. Or like as a break in between drafts. So I'm going to count it down, entering the big board draft, entering in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, enter. And geez, location error, not what I wanted. All right, I'll try one more time. And actually, it's perfect yesterday. Got hit with the location error, so sorry for anyone being in the early draft. I'll count it down and just do it from my phone. So entering again in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, enter. And what do we got? Waiting on one to start. Hopefully somebody was able to jump in. We are going to go to the draft. So sorry about that, guys. Do I do the slows to mainly get the highest number of drafts done, or do you do things slows or plus EV? Honestly, both. I think slows can be plus EV in a couple of different ways. One, particularly in contests that are not necessarily something like this big board or BBM that's going to be open all summer, but even like a puppy that's only open 3 weeks. You enter a bunch of puppies at the end, right before it fills, you're going to have a way different ADP, because then those take a couple, like 2 weeks to finalize. You're going to end up with different ADPs. You're going to get different information, so you can get some EV that way. I mean, yes, everyone else in your draft potentially is the same information, but you can just get different things as news starts to filter out during the off season. And like the war room for this is probably going to be the best example of the pre-draft, where if you save one to do right before and do it slow, like you might just have way different ADPs and information than what 90% of the drafts done did. Also, I like being able to have time to judge. And this draft is starting, by the way. We got Hulk in here and Legion. Those are the only two names I recognize. I recognize some of the other names, but that are usually in the chats. So anyone else, feel free to say hi. Hope everyone is doing well. And Hulk gets Gibbs at the 2 spot. I am in the 12th spot. But, while yes, you sometimes during fast drafts, people make mistakes and things of that nature. But I think you can just be more predictive during the slow draft. You can figure out your moves 2 to 3 rounds ahead a little bit more. Like, I'm going to take this receiver here. I'm going to try and get the stack, in the 11th round, or whatever the case may be. I think there's going to be a run on running back, so I'm going to take one here, and I'm going to like what I'm going to get coming back at receiver. So I think there can be some advantage there, and I just like being able to be more thoughtful in my picks, generally speaking. So I think there's value there, but it also of course helps to get so much volume done, because otherwise, sure, I had crazy times where I was on like 300 slows at a time. But let's say you're doing just like 40 slows at a time, and you check in 3 times a day. This is the middle of the summer, when it's still the full clock and everything. I'm on the clock right now. I'm not going to do McBride. I'm going to go. I'll go Neighbors, and I don't think I have Genty yet. So don't Don't really love the 12 spot right now. Just a lot of uncertainty at this back half of the first round right now. But, let's say you're doing 40, 50 slows at a time. It's not, and as I never said, like, I don't have it where you're getting a notification every time a slow comes up. I'll check it 3, 4, sometimes 5 or 6 times a day, but I'll just break it up, and you'll be on the clock on 5 or 10 slows at a time. When you wake up, or 4 hours later, 5 hours later, whatever, you'll be in the clock. You spend 30 minutes and you get those picks done, 10 minutes, 30 minutes, depending on how much you need, and then you can move on. So it's just a way to get way more volume. And then it's like, you could, and if you have time, like, you have a bunch of slows going, do a fast draft or two, and then check your slows, and then do another fast draft, that kind of thing. So it's like, you can see what's happened. So I definitely prefer slows, but I think there's value in both sides. Slow draft. Masochists are back at it. No, I'm not yet, but okay. Mike asked the question, where does Tyler Algier go that he actually matters in best ball? Well, as I mentioned in Discord, and I said this yesterday, there's a lot of free agent running backs. So some of this is going to just be, you don't like the metaphor of the Titanic, but moving deck chairs on Titanic. Breece Hall goes to, say, Washington, maybe Algier goes to the Jets. Is that the greatest landing spot? No, but I think it would absolutely matter for best ball. Algier could go to Washington. Dallas, if they re-sign Javonte, great. If not, then maybe Algier goes there. Maybe they'll go for Breece Hall. There's just a lot of potential free agent landing spots. I mean, there's some that are more murky, like, say, the Steelers. They're losing Kenny Gainwell. Maybe they bring him back. They have a third rounder who they didn't really use this year in Caleb Johnson. Of course, you have Jalen Warren there. Warren he's not going to get 300 carries, right? Like, that's just not going to be Jalen Warren. If so, it's not going to look good. So they're going to have some back paired with them, whether it's they bring back Gainwell, whether they bring back or they utilize Caleb Johnson. Maybe the new coaching staff is like, we don't like him. We want Tyler Algier, or we want a Rico Dowdle or Rashard White, or whoever the case may be. So there's a lot of free agents, or they get Javonte because the Cowboys took player X. Even if we assume Kenneth Walker stays in Seattle, which I think is a pretty fair, safe assumption at this point, and I kind of think Etienne stays in Jacksonville, or then I think it could be a lot of moving pieces. And like the Broncos, they like RJ Harvey, but he's not taking a full role. So Dobbins says he wants to go back, but maybe they, again, go for Algier, something of that nature. So I don't know. I think there's a lot of landing spots where Algier could take on a more 50-50 role, or even be the 60, or even a 40% role. Like, he got, I'd have to look at his actual carries and stuff, but he was clearly limited when Bijan is combining for, almost a league record in yardage. So speaking of, we have Breece Hall coming up here. I like Etienne over Hall. I'm going to go Etienne McConkey. I like Devontae Adams there. Jameson is a little high, but generally okay with. But Genty, Etienne, Neighbors, McConkey, definitely a few unknowns about Neighbors' health. Genty, new staff, but like the upside. Also, if you need some, I just think the amount of drafts he does. He has to do slows. Slows to me aren't positive. Yeah, I think I know not everyone feels slows are positive EV. I think you need to have patience. I definitely recommend, don't do just 2 slows, because then you're in misery. You're waiting for it. When the pick comes up, you just hate it. That's why I do so many, because then when I decide to check, I'm making 5 picks, 10 picks, 20 picks at a time. And yeah, that could take half an hour or more to do all those picks. But, and then I have to check in 6 hours later, 8 hours later, whatever the case may be. But I know it doesn't work for everyone. Steve, did you have a chance to look at the risers and followers? No worry if you didn't. Just curious if any surprised you. I did. There were definitely a few surprises. I'm trying to think off the top of my head. Maybe I'll pull it up after this draft. Some of the risers I think made sense. We talked about a couple yesterday, like Marvin Mims, who was essentially like the last pick person ranked. He's moved up like 20 spots. Trying to remember a few others that stood out. Like some of the rookies are starting to move up and down. I will have to look up specifically, but that's a good question. Maybe I'll look after the draft. I guess there's multiple ways to look at it. Yeah. So, I mean, find what works for you. Yeah. So, I mean, so far I've only done like 8 drafts, so I can't really feel like I'm lucky or not. I got the 101 yesterday in my first stream draft. So it's plus EV for you to make better picks, but less likely for other drafters. Yeah. So like to me, I'm not worried about other drafters. Like honestly, and as Legion knows, especially when I'm streaming, I'm not looking at other teams being like, oh, this guy's looking for this stack. This guy's looking for that. I'm looking for my stacks. And sometimes like I'll look and, be like, oh, okay, like this guy has only one running back and we're in the 10th round. Do I think he picks twice before I pick again? He's probably taking a running back, at least one, if not two. Something of that nature. But I don't look for necessarily like specific teams like, oh, he's building a Raider stack or a Cardinal stack, which would not be good stacks. Or he's building X or Y. I care more about my build and getting the guys that I think fit that particular build that I'm doing. Like if I have started, like here I'm pretty balanced, so I can go a variety of different ways. And having a pick at the turn, I can potentially get certain stacks and stuff like that. So Adunze just got taken from I was considering a Caleb Adunze stack if it got back to me. But yeah, so I think it depends on how you draft. Like for me, I'm mainly focused on my team. Like I look at other teams more like their build structures than say their specific builds, if that makes sense. All right, I will take Herbert here. Usually I like to let him fall, but okay. There we go. And I think I will take, it's not my favorite receiver group for sure. I'm going to take Javonte. I do think he ends up back in Dallas, which is probably best for him. But I kind of think that he does end up back there. McBride is fine at ADP, but not a slam. Yeah, my concern is I just think it's so tough for a tight end to pay off first round ADP, particularly in half point PPR. Full point maybe because running backs take a little bit more. Some running backs take a little bit more of a hit in full point, but it's just so hard. And then, as I said yesterday, everything went right for McBride. Like McBride had just, don't get me wrong, he's an extremely talented tight end. He'd be great on any team, any offense, but everything went right for him between good coaching staff for tight ends. Drew Petzing is well known for that. The quarterback went from a inaccurate running quarterback to a more accurate passing quarterback. Their running game completely imploded with the top two backs going down. The number one receiver missed huge swaths of time. They were constantly behind, and from a tight end positional situation, every other top tight end suffered injuries, or either themselves, like Kittle, like Laporta, like Bowers, and or their quarterbacks went down, like Kittle, but like Tyler Warren, even Mark Andrews, though he was nowhere near the same. Travis Kelce, of course, at the end, who had been trending extremely well. Kincaid missed time. Kraft was amazing, and then he bottoms out. Goddard was about the one healthy situation, though he missed a week. Me too, but yeah, it's just McBride. Everything and McBride. Yes, his quarterback went down, but it actually was an upgrade for him individually. And then he just didn't miss any time, which is great for him. But most years, yes, tight ends get injured, but most years you don't see that many top tier tight ends get injured. Key news breaks, exactly. Yeah, closing line value is big, but but it's also I think it can be harder it's one of those, like, yes, more mistakes, but more mistakes can also be less predictable. In the slow, maybe I would have tried to push Herbert, saying I have his top stack. Nobody else, this is before Gadsden goes, this is before QJ goes. QJ's going right like after 84, 85. And this would have probably been more if I had like the 79th pick. I could have maybe tried to push Herbert to this area. Would it have happened? No, probably not. But I'd feel more confident in a slow draft, I think, than a fast. Because a fast draft, people just look at what's top of queue and be like, oh, I can backstack Herbert. I think that becomes more of a concept than in a slow draft, in my opinion. Speaking of, do I double tap here and take QJ? So speaking of news today, Tony Pollard gets a new OC. I'm actually gonna roll with it. I could see the Titans keeping him. I think Dable is good for him. Brian Dable is now the OC. I don't know why that went. That was interesting. Michael Pittman. Okay. I'm fine with that. Pittman was on my short list to take as well, but I think Tennessee, they have much bigger issues than running back, so I could see them keeping Tony Pollard. And if not, I think he did more than enough to show that he deserves work somewhere. I do some slows. I agree they're smart. The 12-hour work days. Yeah, I know. Like Huhames, I know specifically, his work schedule is not ideal because he can't check at work as much as a lot of people probably can. Yeah, I do stress this. Like, your schedule has to be able to, like, I have the freedom to, work around it so I can carve out time multiple times during the day. There were a couple slow draft picks I'm sure that I missed, but so yeah, ETN overhaul. My thing is, I do think ETN probably ends up back in Jacksonville. I don't think it's 100%. I don't think it's a lock like Kenneth Walker, but Liam Cohen, even after the draft, he didn't talk highly of Tootin. And I do think Liam Cohen, even though Gladstone clearly has a role and a say there, but Liam Cohen, after what he did his first year as coach, you think that probably gives him more power, right? Particularly since he navigated a lot of injuries, a lot of situations. Now Trevor Lawrence looks like they're, midway through the year, people were like, oh God, Jags have to get rid of Trevor Lawrence. Now Lawrence is, looking good. So I just think if Cohen wants ETN back, and he clearly wanted ETN over Bigsby, he played ETN over Tootin. So if he wants him back, I think they find a way. And so to me, it's not 100%, but where if Hall stays with the Jets, that's a terrible landing spot. And Hall could go to a better landing spot, Cowboys, maybe Commanders, a few others. But it could also be a negative landing spot. Like, I don't know if the Steelers would be good for him, particularly with their quarterback situation unknown. Or, if he goes to, I don't know, like, Houston would probably be okay, particularly if they can get some O-line help. But, there's just some other situations where maybe it's not as clear. And ETN has that risk as well. But I guess I feel a little bit more confident that ETN has a chance to be back. Yeah, kicks in here. Hi, Steve. What do you think about Joe Brady being promoted head coach? Sorry if you already addressed this. No, I'm not addressing. I mean, I mentioned that we had some coaching news. So Joe Brady promoted head coach. I think that's good for the offense. I think we know what Joe Brady can do. They're the fourth. I believe they're fourth in yards and scoring last year, and that's actually saying quite a lot. It's a pretty good thing when your top receiver by a mile is Khalil Shakir. And they actually had more adversity last year. Their O-line had some injuries. Obviously, Kincaid once again missed a good chunk of time. Make these picks. And so Gadsden with the stack. Jaden Reed. I like Surratt a lot, but I already have some. So yeah, let me do Reed. But so no, I think Joe Brady is good for the offense. I'll be interested if he continues to call plays or they, promote somebody under him to call plays. That will be, I guess, up for debate. And we'll hear, but either way, I think it's good for the offense as the whole team. I think it's probably a negative, but it's hard to imagine it's positive because McDermott, I think, definitely helped keep that defense be, I think they finished 7th and 12th in points and yards this year. And that's impressive because they had a ton of injuries. So their defense probably takes a hit. And from a team culture standpoint, is Brady going to be better than McDermott? I don't know. So, but I think it's good for Allen. I think it's good for Cook, probably Shakir and Kincaid as well. But they just need to add an alpha receiver, or just not even an alpha, just an outside receiver. So I think it's positive. I think there were outcomes where, if they had gone Phillip Rivers or something crazy, it would not be good for Josh Allen and Cook, but I think it's good for them. And you hear from Washington fan, why is Terry playing so late? He played half a year and had half a typical Terry stat line. Yeah. I think the issue is outside 2 years ago, he just ran so pure with touchdowns. And he's always been a good receiver, like a very good receiver, just not a great receiver fantasy-wise. And I just don't know if the Washington offense will be conducive for 150, 160, 170 targets, that kind of, he's not going to have a JSN type of year. So he needs to run pure and touchdowns again. Could happen. I mean, it is interesting because no Ertz, no Debo. Maybe Debo comes back. No Eckler. So your next three passing targets are projected to not be there right now. Probably two of them are retiring off major injuries. So, yeah, maybe he runs pure again, touchdown-wise. I think he goes in a fair area. Like, it's, can you make the case of him above one or two receivers there? Sure. But I don't think Terry, as much as I love him, I think he is generally going to be 130 targets, 70 to 80 catches, 1,200 yards, 6 to 8 touchdowns. On the high end, yeah, he should go higher. On the mid to low end, he's probably going right where he should. Now, if he did what he did 2 years ago when those touchdowns become 14, or even if it's 10, 12, then yes, he should definitely be going higher. So I think there's an upside to take him higher. He's more consistent. I just don't know if his ceiling, I know he hit it 2 years ago, but I think that ceiling is going to be tough to repeat, is I guess the way I'd say it. But yeah, Washington's going to be an interesting situation because they replace both coordinators. And, David Blau definitely has some consideration, but he went from being assistant quarterbacks coach late in the year. Pritchard went to Stanford as the new Stanford head coach, and Blau took over. Now he's the OC, so it's a big jump. Apparently him and Jaden have a really good connection. We'll see, but we just don't know a lot of how he's going to actually call games and stuff. So it's definitely a little bit of a risk. But you'd have to think that Terry is, particularly if they don't replace Ertz and Debo, Terry should be the clear guy again. Let's see here. I'm going to go Jaden Higgins. This is a fall that you don't usually get. I'm going to go Debo. I think whether Debo's back or not, I think he gets a good landing spot. So 1-4-6-1. Quarterback I'm going to be thin at, but I have Herbert. Get a couple of these guys. Hopefully it turns out okay. Yeah, I mean, you could have just kept Joe Brady at the offense with McDermott. I don't think that would have changed. So I don't think that you gain any upside. Potentially a Mike McDaniel could have been an upgrade. I don't know if Brian Dable would have been an upgrade. I think he's a fine offense coach. I know he's good history with Josh Allen, but I don't know if he's an upgrade. I truly think Joe Brady called good games. It was just they didn't have the personnel. I mean, when Brandon Cooks is your clear number 2 receiver, that's not a good thing. Not at this stage of his career. He could still play. I think we saw that, but he should be year 4, 3rd at worst. Bruni likes some McBride pick. Like I said, it's a little tough for me, but there's no doubt. I think, and this is the thing, yes, he was 100 points above tight end. The issue is his situation could get a little worse. Even if he's tight end 1 again, I don't know if he pays that off, because he could, say, lose a point per game. And then tight end 2, 3, and 4 could be much closer, particularly in terms of total points. So that would be my argument against. Slap it up in here saying McBride reigns so pure. Yep, exactly. That's where I'm at. Is everything went right, and he was good advance piece, and had a good week 15. But it's just, I don't know. You got Hall Kevin issues. Oh, sorry about that. Yeah, sorry, I haven't looked and noticed how your draft's going, so hopefully it hasn't impacted your picks too much. Knowing the Cowboys are going to stick with what they have at running back, I think Blue gets a lot more involved. Yeah, we'll see on Blue. Maybe. I mean, he had a nice Week 18 game when he finally got the chance, but the fact that Malik Davis was above him for basically the whole year, not the most positive sign. I'm sure he'll be in camp, of course, and everything, but I guess as Dallas brings in some other backs, and maybe he wins that number 2 role, maybe he doesn't. Quarterbacks here come. Oh boy. Oh geez, yeah. I'm guessing you didn't want to take Lamar and Dak. and Love that early. Yeah, that's the concern with Jaden Daniels. He didn't miss the start his rookie year, but he got significantly injured in 2 games, and then played through that injury and didn't look great. And then last year, dude wants to play. You gotta give him a lot of credit, but he kept coming back from injuries and kept getting hurt, and his play suffered. So even in a year where he plays the full year, if it's what we saw last year, that's not great. We need him to stay healthy and be near 100% effectiveness. I'll take Jacoby Leno. I'll just go on. Okay, let's take CJ Stroud. His quarterback has gotten thin. And I have Jaden Higgins. So I feel really good about my receivers, and I went running back early, so I feel strong there. I'll pack on a couple there. Hats or drums when ordering buffalo wings. I probably prefer drums, but I honestly like both. So, yeah, I'm with Brittany. Both are fine. Yeah, like a little crispy. I kind of fully agree with Brittany on that. I personally wouldn't want to do all of one, all flats or all drums. Yeah, and that's the thing. Phil Maffa had a couple nice runs in that game as well. I don't think Miles Sanders is going to be back. But they also could just, as I mentioned in Discord, there are so many free agent backs. Could they bring in Kenny Gainwell to pair with Javonte Williams or Rashard White? These backs are going to take pretty cheap deals, or maybe a J.K. Dobbins, Najee Harris. There's just a lot of backs out there. Not even the top tier guys like Hall, Etienne, and Walker. You just have a lot of guys. And then you have other situations where maybe the Lions, and this could be via trade, move Dave Montgomery, or the Vikings move one of Aaron Jones or Mason or something like that. Maybe not. Isaiah Pacheco's out there. He's going to get a job somewhere. I don't think it'll be a very impactful job, but the Cowboys might say Javonte and Pacheco, something like that. We're going Baker over Love. Yeah, I tend to be Baker over Love. Here I would have taken Love with Reed. Nice. Well, good. I'm glad it didn't impact too much. So I think even though it's nowhere near, and this is the other thing, is a lot of running backs who were drafted last year, maybe it is Blue or Maffa, but you have other situations where, Rashard Smith, Taj Brooks, Giddens, Neal, these later running backs who might start getting bigger and better roles in year 2. Another running back who's a free agent, Ford from the Browns. Obviously he's not going back there. He's been a solid back, so I could see somebody having him as a solid number 2 back. All right, this worked out pretty well. I'll take Dalton Schultz to stack up, and then I'll take Malik Willis, very likely to end up a starter somewhere. We have no clue where. Obviously tied to the Dolphins with Halfley. Steelers fans think that, McCarthy had no connection there in Tennessee, or when he was in Green Bay, but Steelers fans see Malik Willis if they don't bring Aaron Rodgers back. I like getting him at a discount. The 170 ADP is always a little rich, not knowing where he lands. But 181, I think, is very, very fair. So, not the strongest quarterback room, but likely 3 starters. Feel good there. And we'll probably just stick with a 3-6-8-3 build, but feel pretty solid across the board. We got Chad Candles in here, morning streamer. GM Steve, hope you're having a good start to basketball season. Appreciate that, Chad. Hope you are as well. So far so good. This is like my 8th draft. As a Dallas fan, I'd love to see Gainwell and Montgomery. I just think Dallas could probably do a little bit better than Blue. That's just my take. I've just never been a huge Jane Blue fan, but we'll see. Are we leaving the light on for Calvin Ridley? So I wouldn't say in Tennessee, but I think he gets a shot somewhere. Probably be a number 2 somewhere. Probably take a pay cut. I doubt Tennessee can trade him. But I could see a lot of opportunities where he is a decently significant role. As a veteran. I mean, he could be the guy. If I mentioned the Raiders and you bring in a veteran, I think they could bring in Calvin Ridley. Granted, coming off a major injury, but you get him at a cheap price. He's been around, worked with some young quarterbacks, not always well. He's worked with some young quarterbacks, and there's probably enough in the tank for if he can stay healthy 1 year. Chris Bell, speaking of FK's report, I know he's falling with some fairly good reason, as we see here. I'm sure tomorrow he will definitely be falling again. I could use a running back. Not sure what to do with Mitchell. Let's see, what do I want to do here? So I will take the David Njoku. One of my next rankings are up. I would definitely be moving Njoku up. I think he's, very nice and free here. So I'll take him above ADP here. Give me a second to figure out what I want to do. I think I will go Emmanuel Wilson. I feel very confident he will be the number 2 back in Green Bay. Don't think Marshawn Lloyd is going to be a real threat, and or Chris Brooks. So, and just some team correlation with Jaden Reed. So, we'll see where Njoku ends up. I think there's a lot of potentially good landing spots for him. Obviously tied with Stefanski, so maybe he goes to Cleveland. Washington, as mentioned before, they're going to need a tight end. See him go. Be interesting there. Of course, if the Eagles move on from Goddard, they're looking tight end. So tight end is another one where we're going to see a lot of movement, it seems like, and definitely a lot of places I think he could land where he's an upgrade. Why have Calvin Ridley when the Raiders already have Tyler Lockett in the building? Well, I'm pretty sure Lockett's free agent, so I don't know if the new staff will bring in. But hey, Lockett actually played okay down the stretch. So I just think they need a veteran to go for Mendoza. We got Al Boogie in here, GM everyone. Hope you're doing well, Al. It's our first draft of the day. We'll wrap up shortly and go over every team and then talk about some other situations. And let's see. Will the Broncos wake up to Marvin Mims this year? Yeah, I mean, I definitely think Mims is a nice value this late. And I don't see them really adding. I think Franklin, Bryant, Mims, they spent 2nd through 4th round picks on the receiver position. Still Sutton. My guess is those are the 4 guys they go with next year. And of course, Lodor and Humphrey will probably be on the team as well. I think taking shots on all those guys. I mean, Sutton, we have the most confidence in, of course, and of course it's the highest price. But the other 3, I think you should probably take shots on them. I mean, Broncos are a good offense. So if one guy emerges above the rest, you could really pay off. I think, this past year, I was just way more in on Mims than Franklin or Bryant, then Bryant, then Franklin. And obviously Franklin was the one you wanted the most. But this year, now Mims is getting that treatment. So I'm going to take shots on all of them, I think, until we get some more clarification. Mims might be on my list here. I don't mind Jalen Noel late, particularly in the Stroud stack. Slayton, absolutely free. I think he is clear starter. Naylor, don't love the quarterback situation, but I think he's fine. Skylar Bell would be a fun rookie. McAllister, a fun rookie. So let me go Devin Neal. I mentioned him before. Saints are wide open right now, what they do at running back. So I'll start there. I think this team, I'm going to go with a rookie, Skylar Bell. I have enough depth at receiver. Take rookies at the end in Lane and Bell. Let's see. Can't trust Sean Payton, Green, and Taysom Hill. Oh, that I didn't even think on that. That would be absolutely terrible. WFN this live. Holy shit, I'm not sure who that is. WFN Warehouse. Appreciate you being here. What is your this name on YouTube? I'm not familiar with. What's your underdog name? Just curious if you've been here before, if this is your first time. Appreciate it, and everyone hit the like button. We appreciate all the support. But good to see you. Good to see you talking ball. Got in 23 drafts so far. Wow, that's way more than me. But I love it. I love people who are in on best ball and enjoying it. Kraft, Scatterboo, Neighbors, and these says coming off injury scare you. I think Neighbors is one that has had the weirdest reports, though he was the earliest injured. So far, I'm okay drafting all of them at kind of where their cost is. But yeah, I mean, keeping track of these guys coming back from injury are very important. People last year were hyping up. At this point last year, Brandon Ayuk was going like 60, 70, somewhere like that. Like pre-draft, he was going very high. He didn't play a single down. Now, that's more than injury. He quit on the team, all that kind of stuff. But, other guys like Godwin, that injury situation got worse. People were taking Jonathan Brooks, not this high, but people were taking him pre-draft. That was terrible. So keeping track of these injuries is very important. So keep that in mind. I took a vacation days. Oh, I already said that. Steve, I think you answered. I didn't do any NBA best ball this year. I've done it in the past. I've made some playoffs, and I made semifinals 2 years ago. Didn't get any finals teams through. Best Ball Cabal on YouTube. Gotcha. Gotcha. Well, appreciate you. And thanks for checking it out. Yeah, I will be doing like 1 p.m. streams or day streams most days. I'll be hitting up some night streams as well. But let's look that the draft is done with people in here. First with Hulk. He went 3-5-8-4. Lamar, Dak, Love. No, he said that wasn't his choice of a pick. But I think it all turned out. Gibbs, Henry, Warren. So 3 guys we kind of know where they're at. Dowdle. I like the Dowdle ADP right now. I think there's a lot of situations, whether it's back in Carolina or somewhere else, that he'd be a vast upgrade at that current ADP. Kamara also, as I mentioned, Saints, we have no idea. Like, they could go back to Kamara. I know this year didn't work out too well for it, but next year, and finally, no more Taysom Hill. I'm praying and assuming. So that takes away your vulture. So Kamara, I definitely want some in this ADP range. Yes, we need to get some clarification there, but I'm finding, I know he's generally said he doesn't want to play for anyone, but the Saints with maybe a playoff team would interest him. And even still, as like a RB2, he could be fine. Pickens, Flowers, Mike Evans, Juwan Jennings, Josh Downs, Rashid Shaheed, Flournoy, and Savion Williams. And yeah, Savion Williams with Dubs and potentially Wicks leaving could see a much more increased role. I mean, former 3rd round pick. Probably the Packers aren't really adding anyone with how Watson played this year. And of course, Golden last year. And then 4 tight ends. So he went late and probably some protection just in case Kelsey retires. If Kelsey doesn't retire, this could be a very, very strong tight end room because Helm looks to be the likely starter with Chig as a free agent. Ferguson, Higbee's a free agent, so it's probably going to be the Parkinson-Ferguson show. And then Theo Johnson, we saw him have a really nice year last year, and that's likely to grow going forward. So yeah, I really like the tight end room and super strong quarterbacks. So pretty good, pretty nice team across the board. My team, Legion's team first, 2-8-7-3, Hurts, Purdy, McCaffrey, Jadarian Price, Monty, Connor, White, Brian Robinson, Mike Washington, MB. So yeah, went like anchor running back with McCaffrey, and then rookies and guys who could be moving. I think Connor's probably back in Arizona. I like him at that range. Brian Robinson, Rashard White, free agents, Monty potentially on trade block, and three rookies and 1 fairly highly drafted in Price, probably 2nd, 3rd round pick, and then Washington Hemby could be like 4th rounders. If they get the right landing spot, they could really pay off. So no, interesting approach, but one that I think makes a lot of sense with an anchor. Sure, we don't know the landing spots for some of these guys, but probably a couple of them land in decent situations, and then some rookies to mix it up. And then Nico, AJ Brown, Devontae Adams, Terry McLaurin, and Pearsall, very strong receiver room. And then late Franklin and Manor. And then tight end, Goddard, Andrews, Otten. 2 of these guys are free agents. Andrews, I think I know Andrews coming off his worst year, but no likely presumably next year. Lamar playing better. Still need to figure out the OC and all that, but I think Andrews could end up being quite the steal. I don't think he's necessarily going to go up to being like where he was a couple of years ago and being like picked in the top 50 or should be, but could he be tight end 8 on the year, tight end 9? Sure. And he's going to crush it at that ADP. So, and then finally, my team, I'll just go over it real quick. 3-6-8-3, Herbert, Stroud, Willis. So I got, what should be 3 starting quarterbacks. Went really strong early at running back. Genty, Etienne, Javante, Tony Pollard. Genty's the only one we kind of know 100% for sure where he'll be. I think all these guys are starters one way or the other. And then Emmanuel Wilson, Devin Neal. Should be no worse than number 2s on the team, I'd guess. Neighbors, McConkey, Pittman, Jaden Reed, Jaden Higgins, Debo. So I feel really good about the receiver room, even if, don't know where Debo is going to be. I think he'll have a pretty good role. And then 2 rookies, Lane and Bell, late and at some value for lane as well. Gadsden, Schultz, and Njoku at tight end. So feel very good about that. Let's hit up chat and then we will look at a couple things before we get into the next draft. He was saving seating for the ladies, such a man of the people. We got PPR Tyler in here. What up, big dog? Yeah, I saw Tyler streamed yesterday. Wasn't able to jump in the stream, but I know he's back streaming quite a bit and breaking down these rookies. I need to get on a show with PPR Tyler because he and I both really talk and look at rookies. So I definitely want to hear more of his views on things and just break some stuff down. Retracting Matt Ryan for those 3 games at the end of the year where he comes returning from nowhere. Yeah, I mean, it could be the case of what happens. I mean, totally. I honestly don't know what to do with Atlanta. If Atlanta quarterback situation, I should say. If Mendoza busts, we should get an angry Tom Brady. Yeah, I mean, could be. That would be so wild to have like all these retired quarterbacks come out the last couple weeks. We got Ant in here saying what up. Steve, my Discord invite expired before I activated it. Is there a way to reissue one? Yes, I will. We'll make sure Meg does that to issue a Discord invite. So sorry about that. Yeah, PPR Tyler is the Atlanta fan, so I want to hear his take on it. Yeah, Meg answered. Where does likely get drafted if you go somewhere like Cincinnati? You know, Cincinnati would be a fine landing spot. I mean, Gesicki's still under contract. So, you know, I think he should move up a little bit, though. I would love to see, honestly, as a Washington fan, I'd love to see likely in Washington. I don't think Ben Sinnott is any threat. And, you know, I think he could do well as, you know, the pass catching tight end. I mean, we've seen Ertz have 2 good years, like per game, and Ertz, you know, unfortunately got injured this year, but he was off to another good year and one of the few pieces on Washington's offense that was working. We checked out Dane Key. What do you think? I have him a little higher than others. Yeah, I mean, right now I see him as like a day 3 pick, so I'm not too interested from him from a best ball standpoint. He's a guy I want to watch a little bit more, but you know, I could definitely have my opinion changed on him. I'm not like locked in on. I've watched him a few times, but he's a guy I probably could watch more. Oh, PPR Tyler talking about Atlanta. I'm taking Penix. Just watched the Fanspeak interview. Talking a lot about Penix. To the Kirk question. Yeah, I think Kirk is gone. So Penix is the plan again. Maybe they bring in a quarterback for early in the year. I just don't know if Penix is going to be ready to start the year. Yeah, I think that's more likely than him starting in Atlanta because, you know, it's not just the fact that Kevin O'Connell, you know, wants to keep his job, but Justin Jefferson cannot be happy after what went down this year. And you better believe that he is going to be 100% looking for some sort of assurance or guarantee that he's not going to have this bad of a year. Because, look, it is criminal that Justin Jefferson is being taken in the 2nd round. From a raw talent perspective, he's up there with anyone. But I can't trust him as a 1st-round receiver. Not with JJ. Yes, I would definitely DM you and figure something out soon. Are we taking any flyers on rookie tight ends like Max Clare? So I think you have a interesting. I mentioned this in Discord. Guys like Clare, Trigg, Stowers. Who else am I missing? You know, they're fine tight ends. They're probably, you know, a couple will probably be taken in the 3rd round. I think the tough thing is this year we have so many free agent tight ends. You know, as mentioned, guys like Goddard, likely, Njoku, K-Dot, and you know, Pitts, etc. So until we see where we get to the draft day and where are, potential tight ends going to, like last year we knew, okay, Warren, Colts were taking Warren or Loveland. That was like a guarantee. Like that had been rumored for so long. Bears were definitely interested in those two as well. We knew they were going to get first round draft capital. But then it seemed like, Jets are probably going to take a tight end. That just didn't work out because they imploded. Seahawks could take a tight end. They did. It's just Barner played better. Stuff like that. I think we just need to kind of see like what potential landing spots could be out there. Like Chigakonko is another free agent. So some of these guys will have to take secondary roles. I think there's no question. But if some teams are more open, then that appear more open, then maybe we take some. Like I'll take some now as like a 20th round click. Stowers as well as PPR Tyler mentions, but it's like Warehouse says here, they're probably more likely to be year two guys, just because I don't think any get real clean landing spots, would be my guess. How do you feel about Sean Watson in Atlanta? Ooh, good luck. Hey Steve, did you end up profitable this past season? So not on Underdog. As a whole, is about break even. But Underdog, no, I did not end up profitable. Just didn't have the advance rate. And then my two finals teams were smaller stuff. So even though one I finished in 15th place and won 500, it just wasn't enough to make me totally profitable. I was profitable in some areas, like I was profitable in like sprint and kind of break even in marathon. I ended up profitable in weekly winners, which is a shocker because that's like one of the hardest things to be profitable in. And I was profitable in like Superflex, just isolated there in a few things. I got a few wide receiver names. Would like your opinion on? Yeah, absolutely. Throw them out in chat. Kelsey is technically a free agent too. Yeah, I mean Kelsey's a free agent, but I think if he's back, if he's playing, it's only going to be in Kansas City with Mahomes and one more run. All right. Let me bring it up on my phone. FK asked about the risers and fallers and wanted to comment on it. So let me bring that up, and while people ask other questions in chat. FK is doing a great job breaking down risers and fallers. Let me find this post from earlier. I will read it out and talk about it. Here are the top 10 risers from the first 2 days of the contest. Trey Benson, which is, he started at 240, now at 196. Joe Mixon, 230 to 211. Marvin Mims, 238 to 219. Braylon Allen, 209 to 195. Sam Darnold, 163 to 150. Ogier, 141 to 128. Io Manor, 226 to 214. Baker Mayfield, 144 to 132. Tyler Shuck, 156 to 146. And Juwan Johnson, 183 to 172. Now, some of those, I think, the quarterbacks we see, just the lack of having 32 starting quarterbacks is pushing the guys that we know up. I think, the Joe Mixon, some of these running backs, like I think people are realizing Algier. This is where we were taking Algier last year and actually even higher, and he had no chance of a starting role. Now he has a real chance of a starting role. Joe Mixon, obviously, if he's back, is going to be a steal, potentially. Same with Braylon Allen. If Hall moves on, Allen might get first crack at it, or at least have a 50-50 role. Io Manor, with the Titans. Now, I do think the Titans add receivers, so depending on how good they are, it will depend on how much I am in on Io Manor, because I think DK is kind of safe as a big play, manufactured touch guy. Regardless, Io Manor, he's always going to be out there from a blocking standpoint, but I just don't know if he's, the biggest pass catcher. I know Mike Robb and even FK are in on him, but that's my take on him. Juwan Johnson was just clearly always mispriced. And then we will go to the fallers since the contest opened. Jack Besh, 193 to 207. Sharp Bateman, 187 to 200. Keon Coleman, 196 to 211. Jacoby Lane, 128 to 141. Chris Bell, 147 to 159. Max Clare, 206 to 226. Keenan Allen, 197 to 215. Michael Trigg, 210 to 229. Xavier Leggett, 195 to 214. And Dontavian Wicks, 201 to 222. I think what we have a lot here is some of these rookies. Chris Bell, with the injury, it makes sense. People realizing that him falling. Jacoby Lane's a little surprising. Probably was too high at 120, 128. It was to and 141, and where I got him, I think is very fair. Keenan Allen, will you retire? Will he not? The rookie tight ends, just talked about them. The younger receivers, Besh, Bateman, who's the oldest of them, Keon Coleman, Wicks, Leggett. Besh, I actually think, depending on what receivers the Raiders bring in, he's probably at worst the number 3 receiver for the Raiders next year. Yes, there are some outcomes where he's less than that, but a second round pick, I think they'll give him another shot. He's got a role. It's just him and Jacoby Myers were the same. So if they bring in more of an outside receiver, Besh could be their big slot. Bateman, I think, is a good value. This is a guy, yes, plenty of injury history. They've given him 2 contract extensions in the last 3 years. It just went wrong. This year just went wrong in so many ways for the Ravens. Likely's also gone. Yes, Dontavius and probably Hopkins. Yes, Dontavius Walker has emerged a little bit more, but I just don't know if the door is totally closed on Bateman. Keon Coleman door could be totally closed on him. Maybe Leggett, same thing. I do worry about that. Wicks, we'll see. He's a free agent. Probably will need to go somewhere else, but there's at least enough upside with Wicks. Wicks obviously interests me if he gets a good landing spot. But it's all about landing spot. If he goes to a team where he's buried in the 4th, 5th receiver, nothing. But he could go to a team where he could emerge as the number 2. So that's my thought on that group. But I really appreciate FK for pointing all that out. Let me hit up chat, and then we will go into the next draft. Feels like a year to go. Super robust at running back, at least in pre-draft. So many 3rd, 4th year breakout receiver. Yeah, no, I kind of agree. And also running backs, yes, running backs pushed up, but it's also the certainty. After you get to after Swift, you have Ramondre and Javonte and Warren, but even those Ramondre, does Hendo take a bigger role next year? Javonte, if he's back with the Cowboys, huge value. If not, we don't know. Tony Pollard, same thing. Jalen Warren, what's the situation? Caleb Johnson did nothing, but we've seen it before where a back takes over. I just worry about his ceiling. So, or, could they trade for a David Montgomery or something like that? Of course. After Swift, and even Swift as, Monangai, sharing the role, so many of those guys are backup running backs. Then you start getting into the Monangai, the Quorum, stuff like that, clear backup number 2 backs. I actually agree to be a robust running back. So you mentioned this top of the show, big board rankings are on Substack. Yes. And Meg posted the link. Aaron Anderson, Amari Cooper Jr., Eric McCaster, Deion Burks, Hurst, Coleman Jr. So I don't know much on Hurst and Coleman Jr. That I've really done deep enough looks. Aaron Anderson, LSU. LSU just had a ton of receivers. They definitely underperformed this year, but I like his size and athleticism. I think he's fine. He's one. I want to see how he runs, how he looks. Omar Cooper Jr., I'm a big Surratt fan, but I can see the case for Cooper Jr. maybe having a better pro career than him. I think Surratt is a contested catch guy, just a technician, as a route runner with his hands, just fantastic. He's never going to be a big separator. Cooper Jr. can be a big yak guy, big yards after catch, can separate a little bit more. So I like him a lot also. Eric McAllister, I'm a pretty big fan of. Deion Burks, he's another guy I want to see what he runs, what his speed is. I view McAllister, Burks as like late 3s, early 4s, right landing spot. They could have value. If not, they're probably a year or two away from really doing any damage. So I'll draft a little McAllister. Burks, I'm not sure if I'll be drafting pre-draft. Now, if he ends up with a good landing spot, sure, and a good draft capital. That matters a lot as well. Yes. We wouldn't want that. Yes, appreciate UFK for posting those. Meg saying we'll have a cleaner version of rankings to display soon. Feel bad for Kyle Pitts. Reminds me of Brady Quinn need to be drafted. Then, yeah, that he never should have been 41. I know he ended the year really strong and everything, but he never should have been ranked 41. I mean, you just weren't going to take him above like Loveland or Warren. Maybe he gets like just the perfect landing spot, and then you can make a case for a top 100 pick. But to me, it's tough to take him in the top 100, particularly without knowing where he's at. I got Peanut Punch in here. Good to see you. Greg, does Naj play next year? I imagine. I mean, it was an early injury. I think Naj plays. Like, the fact that it was so early makes it to me more likely. Like, and I know different injuries, but Zach Charbonnet went down in the playoffs. Like, when do we really expect Zach Charbonnet to be back? So that's another reason why I think Walker is a lock to stay and just wheels up. Iron Manners, modern Randy Moss, you need to get on board, Steve. Yeah, I don't know about that. Sounds like Cam Coleman is a legit cut candidate. I agree there. Raiders need to run the same thing Rams do with 3 tight end Bowers. Yeah, I mean, but they should have been. Betch is a good blocker. That's how they should treat it. Though I do wonder if they trade Myers to just because he feels like a waste there. But no, they should. When you have a good blocking receiver like that, who can operate in that same intermediate area, I mean, that's a fair way. That's like you said, the Rams do that. A couple other teams explore that a little bit more, and Raiders. I think I would not get too cute at receiver. If you keep Michael Mayer, I think you should absolutely be running 2 tight ends just about every play because Michael Mayer is pretty talented. But the problem is, Trey Tucker and Besh can be your 2 receivers. You probably want a little bit more for Mendoza. It helps when you have Rams could do it from either Puka or Devontae. That's nice to have you as your only receiver. When Titans were bringing on extra O linemen, it's Nico Collins. Steelers, DK Metcalf. But yeah, no, I agree. McAllister is a fun late round guy. Chris is small school guy. Yeah, I think is he an East-West game? I'd have to double check on that. Is there an approximate schedule for when you drop drafts? No. I in pre-draft last year, so they had the 4 drafts that are out currently: big board, little board, war room, bigger board, and then biggest board was also. The little board last year was a 50 max. Much more it filled, and then right before the draft they dropped the second little board too. That was also due to like the New York issues. So I'm not sure what their schedule is for any more this year pre-draft. And then after the draft, they're going to have their flagships, and then they will have like the ones that they know are going to fill within. Then they'll have some like puppies that they know will fill in 3 weeks. and then ones that they know will fill in a week or two, like say a Schnauzer or a Pomeranian, and then the ones that are going to fill in like 2 days, like a German Shepherd. But no full schedule. Sometimes they'll drop it like a week ahead of time, like, oh, be on the lookout. But that's about it. Yeah, 80 for Pitts is fine. It's just tough for me. 80 if he's on a good situation, for sure. But if he goes to a bad situation, like if he goes to the Dolphins, they need a tight end, absolutely. But they decide Quinn Ewers is going to be their quarterback. Not sure if I'm going to go down that road for 80. Jonathan Brooks, right now I'm out. A lot depends on what they do with Rico. They bring back Rico. I just don't see a role for Jonathan Brooks unless they're cutting Hubbard. If they don't bring back Rico and it sounds good for Jonathan Brooks, maybe I'll draft him a little bit, but I think Hubbard would clearly still be above him. Hope on Twitter will tease out the drafts on the other draft team as well. And sometimes like they do the whole week where like, oh, there's going to be a contest every day type of thing. But yeah, it's not like a set schedule. Yeah. No, I love Keem Pell. The Penn State has been tight end U. This year they do not have an early pick like they have in the last couple of years. Pitts to New England would be the biggest Hooper free agent. Henry 1 year left. I didn't think of that spot because Henry is so good. I don't know if they'd go that route personally, but it could be a way. I mean, they clearly have a Super Bowl window right now, so that could be one way to maximize it. Yeah, well, the draft class is not great, but the free agent class, to me, is fairly strong. A lot of potential starters out there. So, Rico, I agree. I think I'd probably list him as like the 5th most interesting, maybe 6th most interesting back, probably 6th most after Walker, Etienne, Hall, Javonte, and I'd probably throw Algier above him, but I think you can make that splitting hairs at that point. Jonathan Brooks equals Kendrick Miller. Yeah, kind of. Last year they did a weekly schedule and the best ball weeks they would always post something. Agreed. Weak RB class after Love. I see Singleton. Yep. Yeah, that's where I'm at. All right, let's get into another draft. I will do another big board. I will do it from my phone. Since last time I got the location error, I don't want to mess that up again. So let me get back into my phone. And I will count it down. I will enter in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, enter. All right, I'm in. 3 more to start. All right, we got Legion in here. What up, Watson? I know that's somebody who jumps in chat sometime. I'm not sure if he's in here. We got Ant and Peanut Punch. So definitely a few other names I recognize. Let me know if anyone else is in here. I got the 9th spot and Legion has the 3rd spot. So, yeah, the other, already talked about the Brian Dable and Joe Brady news. It's sounding more and more like Jim Schwartz will be the Browns coach. Not sure if that's been made official yet. Oh, just saw this. Jets to part ways with Tanner Engstrom, offense coordinator. It seems like a very odd thing to do, 5 weeks after your season ended. Not sure why that wasn't the decision right away. So Jets are continuing to do some Jet things, it seems like. Sorry for any Jet fans out there. Not sure what they're doing. All right. It was, I don't think, Engstrom or anything with the Jets looked good last year. It's just so weird to be done this late in the year, in the process. I'll hit up chat after I make this pick. Legion goes Chase. What up, Watson? Is on the clock now. And we'll see. I would love James Cook, but can I get him? So let me take him and hit up chat. I like Jamari Taylor, EPA. Yeah, he had a nice year, around 20. I feel like there's a lot of guys like that. Hemby is one of my favorite. A couple of nice years in Maryland, then of course goes to Indiana, wins Natty. Just getting around to tight ends. And Dalen Bentley looks solid. Yeah, from Utah. Utah. That's Kincaid, and so they produced some tight ends. He had a good year. For Utah, didn't do much before this year, so it's kind of like a 1-year wonder sort of thing. That's what you're drafting on. Could be totally fine though, but probably a later draft pick. I like pulling up Pickens. All right. Pick your guys early. That's what up, Watson. Ben. Yep. Appreciate you joining. Hulk just said drafters just dropped their contest. Nice. Stack Taylor with his teammate Stewart. Aaron Glenn has to do everything he can to keep his job. He definitely, no doubt. I was just thinking about this the other day. I was like, boy, I'm surprised we haven't heard any coaching changes for the Jet. Like, I knew Aaron Glenn was staying, but like any sort of, really changing things up. But that was like, I thought about that over a week ago, and I thought it was crazy that they had not made any sort of announcement then. It's just so weird to do now when, like maybe, probably not Brian Dable, but, some guys who are like signing on to staffs, maybe you would have had a shot at a few of them. But now they might not move out to go be the OC for maybe only a year. Yeah, Terry and Stewart. I think Genty's a bit better than that, but yeah, you're gonna pursue companies like I'm out. That could make sense. Yeah, I don't know what the Jets do. I really, it's essentially a 1 quarterback draft. Even if you take Ty Simpson, because they have 2 first rounders, so they get tied to it a lot with the second first rounder. But it's like Ty Simpson is not going to do anything this year, in my opinion. Yeah, I will try not to snipe you. Give viewers the rock, or are they drafting it? I mean, yeah, Dolphins are another one. I'll make my pick. I'm going to go Kyron. I mean, I know Corm gets plenty of usage, but Kyron had another great year. I think that continues. So Cook, Kyron, George Pickens. targeting really good offenses, so I feel good about that start. I mean, Dolphins could go a few different ways. It's just I don't know how much money they can bring in because they're going to eat a lot of money for the Tua deal, and they just don't have money to begin with. Like they're already trading, or I don't think they can trade him, but cutting Tua is going to cost them more money than what they would already be projected to pay Tua, and already they're like $37 million over the cap. Yes, they're going to find a way to get under it. Saints always did. You always can, but it's going to cost them to do so. It's not going to be just easy. I will try my best not to snipe, but honestly, I'm just looking at my own team. Speaking of that, that's who you're talking about. Good news for the Jets is Aaron Rodgers is free agent. What could possibly go wrong? No, I think I just saw Mike McCarthy say he would love to get Aaron Rodgers back, and I could see that happening for the Steelers. I'm going to load up on one of the best offenses in the league. Devontae Adams, just touchdown machine. I think Stafford's going to be back, and Sean McVay is Sean McVay. I know Adams is older, but I just could have gotten a ton of touchdowns from the Rams offense. I feel good about that. I don't love Stafford's current ADP. I think he should kind of go right where Dak Purdy goes, kind of that range. And honestly, they both have more rushing upside than Stafford. So I'm not a huge fan of Stafford's ADP right now. I wish he was going, honestly, more like 110. And I wouldn't be surprised when we get to the BBM, his ADP slides more than some other guys, just because, I think people start saying, yeah, the 46 touchdowns are probably not repeatable. Like, could he get 30, 35 touchdowns? Absolutely. But, dominating the league like he did, probably not the most likely outcome for him again. There will be some rookie quarterback scores during evaluation process, like Shaq last year. Yeah. No, I mean, that happens every single year. Even on weaker quarterback years. I mean, Malik Willis, who's now a free agent, he was going to be the guy that year, and Desmond Ridder and Kenny Pickett ended up being the only first rounder. Best quarterback of that bunch was Mr. Irrelevant, Brock Purdy. He was the best quarterback that year by a mile. This GM of the decade. Yeah. Moving money. He is absolutely the best at that. It's probably a very unpopular opinion. I'd like to see draft Carson Beck behind Stafford. I mean, right now they have another former Georgia Bulldog. No, I mean, a guy like Beck or Nussmeier or some of these other guys, in the third, fourth round, yeah, take your shots. Every now and then you can develop one of those guys. Carson Beck, I just don't see massive upside. I think he's very similar to like a Will Howard or Riley Leonard. Like if the Colts can't find a veteran and Daniel Jones can't start the first 3 weeks, could Riley Leonard start and then be okay? Sure. Would be my first choice, but I think it could be doable. Beck maybe has got more upside than that. It's just tough. But some of these guys, yeah, you let them develop and they can turn into something. Not everyone is ready to go year 1, year 2. Will not be taking Kyle Pitts. Let me go with Doomsday. Yeah. If Caleb comes back, I'll probably take him. If not, I'll figure it out. Yeah, and that's the point, is people just push these guys to play way too early. And a lot of times it can set guys back. I mean, even first-round picks. Look at the Jets' history of first-round picks like they do, or early-round picks. Geno, second-round pick, does much better away from Jets. Darnold, Obviously, does much better away from the Jets. Maybe that'll be Zach Wilson. Probably not. But that's the reality. Just not every first round pick is ready to go day one. Yeah, no, I agree. I think players, for sure. No, I mean, smart franchises develop. I think that's the issue. Andy Reid knew what he was doing. He had Alex Smith, parlayed Alex Smith to trade to Washington for a third rounder and a young corner, and then turn the keys over to Patrick Mahomes. Same with the Packers. Like, they draft ahead. First with Rodgers over Favre, and then Love over Rod. With Rodgers still starting and playing at an MVP level. So yeah, no, I think, we saw the Ravens. They still had Flacco when they drafted Lamar. Flacco was much more at what looked at the end, though. He has kept coming back. He's like he can play 5 to 7 games, right? I don't think anyone would play Flacco for a whole year, and he very well could retire. But honestly, I said it yesterday on the Colts, I just called Joe Flacco. He was there a couple of years ago. Call him back, say, hey, worst, we'll probably need you for 3 games. Hopefully it's not more. Hopefully no serious injuries for DJ. We have a young quarterback in Riley Leonard. We want to develop a little bit. Come in, help keep us on schedule. Let's go. And then probably trade away Anthony Richardson somewhere and see if maybe a new situation could help him out. Yeah, that's kind of, I agree. I think Nussmeier's the guy. He's got NFL, coaching bloodlines and stuff that I just think people will talk themselves into. The early big board quarterbacks this year. Yeah, no, last year was nice because we only had a couple uncertain situations, even pre-draft. We only had a couple uncertain situations, and this year far more uncertainty. Because even teams who have a former first rounder like Penix or McCarthy, we don't. Do we really trust it? I know PBR Tyler said Stefanski, though. Yeah, I don't know if he's the most honest broker of quarterbacks as we've seen over the years. Stefanski's very high on Michael Penix, but we'll see. I just don't know if I believe it. So I did get Caleb. That's fun. Running back has definitely taken a turn. So we will wait on that. Marv. Do we take him here? I think I'm going to go. I will take a shot on Marv. Don't love it, but he's 9, almost 10 picks past ADP. It's your 4th receiver. I mean, this was a guy who was being taken top 35 last year. So. Again, could take Kraft here if he gets back to me. Maybe even reach on Laporta. Do like Drew Petzing for Laporta. I think that's probably a really good coach upgrade for him. Pittman, Myers are fine. We'll tap Chicago. You know what? I'm not going to take a ton of Stafford. This is essentially right at ADP. I'll take it. I got Devontae, got Kyron. I'm making a bet on the Rams. Like, the Rams only pay off if Stafford's healthy. I'll revert to 2 quarterbacks at this rate as I predicted. Yeah, I'm still going to be sticking with 3, but I get it. And some teams don't want the controversy it causes when you bring in. No, again, look at the Shador Sanders and situation. It was impossible last year. Push Burrow to the 7th round. Yeah, that's going to be fun to continuously see Burrow in the late 70s, 80s. We're interested to see if Stefanski's a good coach or not. Yeah, I'm with you, Flyfish. I'm not the biggest Stefanski fan. I know money ain't a thing. Mentions it here. He's 2-time coach of the year. I just don't know if he should have been 2-time coach of the year. I think it was very soft. Like his offenses weren't. He's supposed to be an offensive guy, and that's not what carried him. It was great defenses. So it's like maybe Jim Schwartz should be, the coach of the year a couple years ago. And I just worry that Stefanski is just a little overrated, overhyped, because I don't think he's a guy who ever developed or got the most out of his guys. I think he had a great running back in Nick Chubb for some of those years. I think he had a great defense. A couple of years ago, the whole Flacco thing was interesting and good run, but it was also like Burrow was hurt that year, and Steelers were playing Kenny Pickett, so you just had a window in the division, and yeah, Flacco was better than that. So, that's I'm just not the biggest Stefanski guy. Like so for an instance, like people were knocking Joe Brady. Joe Brady, Bills had the 4th offense. Like Stefanski never had. He had the 11th highest scoring offense the Flacco year, and the other year with Baker they were like 12th or something. Like it's not like he was producing top 10 offenses or even top 5. So even though that's his theoretical calling card, I mentioned it yesterday. I mean, why isn't Mike Tomlin coach of the year? He had Justin Fields be a 4-2 quarterback. It's more, that's what, half as many wins or a third of many wins that he has in all his time in Chicago and Jets combined. I mean, I say that tongue in cheek, but there's a reality there. Like, that guy has done it with Duck Hodges. So that's my take. But we'll see. Maybe Stefanski will prove me wrong. Need some running back help. I'll go Jonah Coleman. Vikings can't give up on McCarthy. He excels at handing the ball off to the running back. Yeah, that's about all he excels at. Congrats on beating the integrity of baseball. NFL is starting to look more like the NBA now. League's overrun with retread coaches. Yeah. I guess to me, I get it. I get why Harbaugh is gets the retread. And he was highly sought after. Even Saleh versus Stefanski, I give him more of a pass because the Jet situation. I'm not going to take Woody marks, so let me go with Surratt. I know I'm more of a Surratt stan than maybe some. I just believe in his upside and his readiness. I think he's very NFL ready. And Mike Tomlin, even I'm surprised Sean McDermott. I know he got fired later in the year, but these guys have proven winning records. So I did find it interesting. Stefanski and Saleh were 2 of the first guys hired, given, they haven't exactly crushed it at their previous. Ron Rivera was 2. Great point, Flyfish. Great point. Trust me, as a Washington fan, I can attest. And also his draft decisions were, shall we say, less than ideal. Yeah, exactly. I think Tomlin got the most out of his teams. Stefanski, I don't know if he did, and that's my general point. Is couldn't develop Baker, Watson, and I know there's a lot going on with Watson outside of football, but Watson went from being a top 5 quarterback to nothing close to that, and they just invested a lot of high picks in the offense and just didn't really pan out or made trades. And yeah, the 1 year Amari Cooper went off, great, but he just couldn't sustain success. Seems to coach a pretty good run game, good for tight ends. If Pitt stays there, I think it's probably a good landing spot. I just think he probably is at best above average, and maybe he is a better coordinator. I mean, he had a really good year with Kirk Cousins 1 year as a coordinator in Minnesota before he got the Cleveland job. He was a quarterbacks coach before that. I guess that's my thing, is his background as quarterback, and maybe Baker just wasn't going to work with Stefanski, but it seemed like there's a lot of animosity there. The way that went down did not look pretty. I will say it's not great for Atlanta in general to not have a first round pick because they traded that away. So he's definitely not starting in the greatest situation. All right, you think Mendoza will be as bad as Ward year one or outscoring in fantasy? I'm talking rookie season. Yeah, I think outscore. I mean, Ward, Tyler Shuck almost outscored Ward and he played half a year. So it's not going to be too hard to outscore Ward. And I think Mendoza, I know Jeff talks about it needing a legit receiver, but he's got the best tight end in the league, got a star running back who they can throw the ball to. In fact, that was some Gentie's best games is when they got him involved in the passing attack. What do we do here? I think it's so tough because I love Emmett Johnson over Katron Allen, but I will take Katron Allen here. So I think he's just got more weapons to start. The O-line needs a lot of help. Like I was in Candyman's chat last night, and Money thing was talking there, and we're talking like they need to just spend money on, I think, bringing in one receiver, I think a veteran receiver, and O-line. Like they just really need to upgrade those areas, but O-line for sure. Like Cole Miller is like the best offensive lineman. He missed most of the year. They need to just fix that big time. But I think ideally they get a good young coach. There's some Kubiak rumors or Yudisky or I can't remember who else is in the mix, but it sounds like they want a young, brilliant offensive mind, and I think that's a good thing. Let's go with Jake Ferg. Get another Dallas piece. Even without Dak, that's a lot of the Dallas offense, which is one of the better offenses in the league. So quite all right with that. But yeah, just in general, I think it'd be tough for Mendoza not to outscore Ward, just given that Ward set a pretty low bar. As we saw, Dart in now the lineup, Chuck missing half the year. I mean, they essentially did. Steve here, Titans GM. What wide receiver are you drafting to pair with Ward and Dable? I mean, I like both Tyson and Tate. So early on, that's where you're going. I think Tate obviously comes from the Ohio State pedigree. I mean, they're just producing stud wide receiver, but I really like Jordan Tyson. I think he's got tremendous upside. The way he adjusts the ball, very impressive. I think he's got a bright future. Different, not as tall as T-Mac, but kind of similar to T-Mac, where it just dealt with some bad quarterback play and made the most out of it. And I think he can be really good. So I honestly don't think either one is a bad call for them. I don't think. I think they love Pickens, but I don't think Pickens is leaving Dallas. I would be shocked. Yeah, I mean, Kubiak or some other top offensive, they need a young offensive mind. I think that is clear. I don't. I talked about this with Meg earlier. I know people say, oh, people will trade for Mac Jones, and they maybe would, but you're Kyle Shanahan. You look at Kyle Shanahan's career in San Francisco, and if you look at games started by either Jimmy Garoppolo or Brock Purdy, and his winning percentage is like off the charts. Games started by any other quarterback, very bad. Now Mac Jones is the best out of those non-two, Jimmy G and Brock Purdy. And yes, Brock Purdy at one time was the backup, but they've had so many different backups, and that had gotten enforced to play, like the Nick Mullins and Beathard and guys like that, that just were just awful, just horrendously bad, and they lost a ton of games. And we saw this year, like Kyle could still win, and this is not only the most impressive thing for Mac Jones, and to give him a lot of credit, is it wasn't just him. I mean, they won that Rams game without Jennings, without Pearsall, without Kittle. Just total, Kendrick Bourne and just got Jake Tonjes and just guys off the streets surrounding CMC. So I think Kyle, since they're just so close, and Kyle, every year they're in it. I personally would be shocked if they let him walk or trade him away. I might stop at 2 tight ends with Berg and Andrews. It at least gives me the option. I like Andrews falling there. Wasn't thinking tight end, but I like the value that I got. So I could be wrong. Maybe a team offers them enough to consider it, and they feel like they can sign somebody else that they feel confident in to be the backup. But my guess is Kyle, it's not worth it for Kyle. Getting a 4th round pick or a 5th round pick, I don't think that's worth it for Kyle to give up a backup that he trusts. Yeah, I think it just depends if they get a big enough price tag. That's the only thing. It's just, given the history, I say no. But yeah, Flyfish, this is what I agree. 100%. I mean, at least Sean McDermott has pedigree, but I agree. You know what? I'll go Aaron Jones. Minnesota, ideally it's better this year, right? I hope. I think either Minnesota back in this range is fine. I don't see them adding a ton, and Mason went right after me. So I was considering either one. James Conner also. And Lane, if I went receiver. I like that pick by What Up Watson. I don't mind Sean Tucker. I've mentioned him. I think they're going to let Rashard White go. Tucker will probably be the touchdown guy. So I think that's a fine low range for running back. But yeah, Sean McDermott, it will be interesting. Like, probably not getting a job this coaching cycle. Guessing he jumps back in next year pretty easily, because our owner is an idiot and it's extreme coaching methods. Yeah, that is tough. And hey, I've been there. I'm a Washington fan. I mean, I agree. I don't think they'd let Pickens leave. I think they, at worst, franchise him, probably get a long-term deal. I think Jerry knows that. I think Shoddy wants him back. I think Dak wants him back. So I could be wrong, but I don't think you can let Pickens leave and just get a compensatory third in return. Jason Garrett, that would be wild. It feels like a one-team guy, and Connor at this price. Yeah, I think so. I think, Arizona, I don't think they're going to draft, a running back in the first round, obviously, maybe in a trade back scenario or something like that. And could they spend a second or third rounder on a running back? Maybe, but they just did on Benson. My guess is they go Connor, Benson, and they draft somebody on day 3. And have like Bam Knight in the mix also. That's kind of my guess for Arizona. I just feel they have so many other issues they need to fix on the O-line, some more defense, etc. But so I'm okay with Connor. And if somehow Connor leaves, I think he would still get some looks. And, we want to hear what his injury situation is, but he got injured early. So I'm presuming he's relatively healthy. To go third quarterback here, I think I push it. I take Troy Franklin. That could end up biting me, but we'll see. Because I know Ant only has 1 and Peanut 2. So maybe they go quarterback, but sometimes you got to risk it here. There's exactly one team in BBM5 that drafted Bam Knight. The person knew something we didn't. Apparently, Bam Knight's family. No, that is wild. So I'll take Malik Willis again. I mean, if he's in this range, falling, I'm good with it. Yeah, I mean, I think he had 1 decent game, but he got injured like week 3. It's not like, it's not like he had a long run and then of sucking and then got injured. So I don't know. I think Connor can be fine. And again, we're taking him to 160s. That's like 100 picks later than he went last year. So the risk is well worth it. And I guess I just don't consider Arizona as I don't think they're going to spend a lot of money in free agency. If they bring in a free agent back, it's a second tier guy, like a third tier guy even. And maybe that's a threat enough to Connor, but it's probably more a threat to Benson. That is true. No, I appreciate BBMD and Data Muse for what they do, because you can find some fun things out there and just see I remember looking, we can look it up for sure, but even guys like Aaron Rodgers and Daniel Jones weren't anywhere near 100% drafted in BBM, because then there was some uncertainty for Rodgers for a while. But even Daniel Jones, everyone was taking Anthony Richardson, and it's like these guys were considerably better. And then even like some of the rookies like Shuck and Dart. And Shuck was on the BBM winner, and Dart obviously had a good year. So it just shows there's much data that's out there, as much people talking about it. There's definitely some obscure things, and quarterback is one. Now, next year with all the injuries and stuff, I think we will see more 3 quarterback builds, but just not enough people were doing 3 quarterback builds. And you had a lot of quality starting quarterbacks, late drafted starting quarterbacks that just simply weren't fully drafted. All right, so here we're looking at 1 more running back, 2 more receivers, 1 more tight end. Maybe I stick with 2 tight ends. Running back into this range of Caleb, Manuel Wilson. I don't mind Brian Robinson. This free agent probably gets a better landing spot. But I think I'm going to go receiver here. Oh no, Tesla one. You know what? I will go Brian Robinson. Just nothing jumped out to me at receiver. So probably looking wide receiver, maybe a tight end. Still a few names out there. This might be a one where I tack on a rookie tight end like a Stowers or Max Clare type situation. Gesicki, that's one I probably need to bump up. Gesicki and Jatavian Sanders, like, very good chances they're starting next year. You know, those could be the situations where they're starting, then a rookie tight end's behind them. Now, Cooper Kupp, I don't think he's going to retire. I'm going to go Trey Harris. I think Keenan Allen's gone. I think Harris takes over. Well, on paper, QJ is definitely ahead of Harris. I wouldn't be too shocked if Harris ends up outplaying him. You know, QJ, for as good of a year that he had, plenty of drops, plenty of some route issues, definitely caused a few interceptions. And Mike McDaniel is just known for the way he coaches receivers and being very much technical in that. And I just don't know if that's QJ. So they just might not mesh as well. Could be wrong there, but I could just see Trey Harris having a bigger role going forward. And just at this cost, I think it's worth taking that shot. Yeah, no, exactly. Like Andrews, I think the 139 is too late for him, and 150, sign me up. Well, but Purdy, what's crazy is he needed Chuck because Purdy and Bryce Young had the same ADP, and I mean, he had to take a 0 the week. Because I'm pretty sure both Purdy and Young were out the same week, right? Is Purdy, Young, and Chuck, I believe, was his quarterback roster. I mean, Purdy missed so much time; it's wild. I mean, he ended up having to have Bryce Young start a number of weeks. Oh, in the playoffs, yeah. No, Bryce Young carried him in the playoffs, no doubt about that. Badit checking in. Quarterbacks matter. Trey Harris, yeah, I agree. QJ, yeah, QJ's always doing QJ things. Definitely was better than I thought last year. But yeah, no, that's where I'm at. That, like, risking that 0, which I do think Sam's team did probably take a 0. I'd have to double check on that. Yeah, just an example that you want carry, throw, low on studs that can smash. Yeah. No, and we see it every year. There's just different ways to draft. 2 years ago, there's no week 17 correlation. The year before, like, the guy was trying to build a Lions Cowboys stack and whiffed on both Dak and Goff. Didn't get them. Pivoted Jordan Love. And then won them quite a bit of money. So, it's like there's always can be a different way to approach it. I will take Cooper Kupp. I don't think he retires. I think Cooper Kupp at 225 is probably good value. Then maybe I take there's just a lot of tight ends still. Higby, even. They're over 2 hour stream back-to-back days. Yeah, right. Yeah, no, I mean, most of these will probably be at least 2 hours. Probably ended after this, answer a couple questions. Probably just doing the 2 drafts today. Most of these will probably be at least an hour and a half, if not 2+ hours. That's my hope. just never. Yeah, no, that's true, and that's why you mix it up. That's something I just want to be better and better about. Do I go receiver here? I think I go tight end. Like Gunnar Helm. I think I might just go with rookie. It's tough. I'll go with Helm. I just think the value there is too good for probably having more certainty of a starting role. So 1-3-6-8-3. We will Legion's team first after we wrap up. I want the guys who score the most points in week 17, no matter how much they are owned by others. No, and that's, that is the thing. You need the right combos. You need and it really is also playoff weeks. Like Purdy, as Money and the Thing said, Purdy was QB1 for the playoffs. Lawrence was probably QB2. He had the amazing week 15, but then week 16, 17, he was like QB7 and 6 and 7 or whatever. But Purdy was like quarterback 2, 1 and 1 during the 3 playoff weeks. So having that was such a key to help you advance in your pods. And yes, you need to dodge the Kyle Pitts 40-point game or the Puka 40-point game, that kind of stuff. You want guys who can just score the most, particularly in the playoff weeks, and of course, particularly week 17, because the money's up top. And it's getting those combo guys, getting enough healthy guys. Ownership ends up mattering the least. Like, Puka had a great advance rate. If Puka had been the guy, nobody would be crying that they had Puka, right? You just want that guy. So that's what it just boils down to. Like JT had a tremendous advance rate. Like CMC had a great playoff advancement rate. And he was absolutely one of the guys who went in the playoffs. JT wasn't as much because his quarterback play went down, but nobody would have been upset if their JT lineups are having a shot to win $2 million. Run through the teams in the draft, and then we will hit up chat and then get on out of here. So we had Legion in here, 3773, Burrow, Kyler, Cousins. Got the Burrow push, which I know we mentioned. Kyler, I think, is definitely starting somewhere. Cousins, has a chance to start as well, at least for part of the year. Brown, Hendo, Swift, Monty, Dobbins, Singleton, Allen. Nice, went 7 backs. Brown is like kind of the true anchor, but Hendo and Swift, you feel pretty good about. I do think in year 2, Hendo will have a more consistent role, even if it is still fairly split with Stevenson. Monty will probably have a decent role somewhere. Dobbins could definitely have a decent role somewhere. I think Singleton is tremendous value at that pick. Braylon Allen, I think it's a nice late round value. There is some talent there, and quite possibly Breece Hall's moving on. Double stacking Chase Higgins and the Burrow with Burrow. Ricky P, Jacoby Myers, Jordan Addison, Debo, some good solid receivers, and then taking a late shot on Darnell Mooney. Yeah, I definitely think he's fine in the late picks, and then waited on tight end, but should be fine with Parkinson, Schultze, and Gesicki, as I mentioned. If they don't bring in anyone, Gesicki could crush this current ADP. He just had a weird year with Burrow going down, him going down, Ant being brought in. Maybe some of that still happens, but the big thing was him getting injured and Burrow going down. If that doesn't happen, he would have been way better last year. What up, Watson in here? Ben checking in. Herbert, Goff, Mayfield. So 3, starting good quarterbacks, JT, Hampton, Jacobs. So very strong running back start. As I mentioned earlier, love the Dowdle ADP. I think he ends up with a good spot, and then 2, second-year backs, and Caleb and Jaden Blue. McConkey, Kyle Lemon should be a mid-first rounder. Worthy, I actually think Worthy's ADP is really nice. 60 spots above where he was going last year. Potentially Kelsey retirement, potentially Rice issues again. Very likely Kelsey not injuring him, second play of the year. Mahomes should be back, even if it's not week 1 early enough. So I think Worthy that's a great pick area for Worthy. Hill, we'll have to see. Is he back in Miami? Not, where does he go? Is he healthy? I don't think he retires. So I have some worry about Hill, but this is easily could pay off. Jerry Jeudy, kind of the same thing. Like, quarterback play could get better. Bit of an unknown, but it's a late pick. You got him way past ADP, so I don't mind that. Jacoby Lane, I think, could be a steal at that price. So we have both UFC receivers. Torrey Horton, Rashad Bateman, very nice late round guys. Bannon, Kelsey, and Joku. Joku definitely should be somewhere else in Cleveland. Bannon, also a little past ADP is nice. Kelsey, I sounds like there's a real chance he's back next year, so I'm definitely going to draft him some with that in mind. So I think it's an interesting pick. Easily he's going to pay that off. We got Ant in here, 4, 5, 9, 2. So you want 4 quarterbacks. Chuck, JJ McCarthy, Tua. Shador, Tua won't be starting in Miami, but could be starting somewhere. JJ, we'll have to see. Shador, we'll have to see. So I get why you went 4 quarterbacks. Achane, Genty, Bucky, Judkins, Monangai, and I get why you went 5 running backs. That's like a, for 20 rounds, that's kind of like a hyper fragile build, particularly if QJ's back fully healthy. That's a really good running back room. Then Garrett Wilson, Waddle, QJ, Reed, Downs, all guys who we feel pretty good about their roles and situation. Waddle, we don't know the quarterback. Wilson, we don't know the quarterback, but should be the number 1 receivers on those teams. McMillan, so many mouths to feed in Tampa if Mike Evans comes back, but we know he's a talented dude. Donnie Mitchell, definitely better fit in the Jets going forward. Vele should have a decent role. Bond should have a decent role. So some nice, on weaker teams, which is always a bit of a concern, but, weak teams can produce fantasy producers as well. And those guys should all get cracks on those teams. And then 2 tight ends, Gadsden, and the late Hawkinson. I think Hawkinson is better than where he's going, so I think that's some fair value there. And finally, Peanut Punch, 3, 6, 9, 2, Bo Nix, CJ Stroud, Dan Jones, so 3 starting quarterbacks. Nix and DJ coming off injury, but should be fairly good to go. Etienne, Scadaboo, Stevenson, Algier, Emma Johnson, Ray Davis. Scadaboo should be lead back. Stevenson, I think, at worst, it's like a 50-50. Algier, talked about earlier, I think it's a good landing spot. Ray Davis, great insurance policy. And then Emma Johnson, I'm very high on as a rookie. Justin Jefferson, DK Metcalf, Khalil Shakir, Denzel Boston, Concepcion, Jeremy Bernard. So really hitting up this rookie class, but nice range there. Marvin Mims, talked about before, tied to really good offense. So I like that. We need to figure out the quarterback situation for Jefferson and DK, but we know the talent of those receivers is as good as come. 2 tight ends, I think Bride and just absolute stealing in Juwan Johnson at 157 to go along with McBride. So I like that team and approach, and definitely can only do 2 tight ends when you've McBride and Juwan Johnson. So really fun drafts. Let me hit up chat and we'll get on out of here. Very much a product ownership game, not some. Yeah, I agree with that. winning BBM lineup, finished 167. Yeah, exactly. Like he had to, and he clearly wasn't going to have a top score because he missed so much quarterback time. Had a few other like injuries and such. So yeah, he had to, and I think I could be wrong, but I think at least of the 6 BBMs, I want to say at least 5 finished second in their pod. I know Crane talked about that. I think Liam talked about that. I want to say, I can't remember if Herzig did, but I feel like at least 5 finished second in their pod. Like these are not like home run teams. And I know the team that won 2 years ago, the guy had a really good. He didn't max, but he had like 110 teams, something like that. And he had some super strong teams. And but the team that won it for him, won the BBM, was like his 20th best team, 15th best team, something like that. It was a good team, and maybe it'd still finish first in his pod, but it was nowhere near his best team. But it was the one that had the right playoff combo. So after the stream, I started up wanting to do drafters. I might do a drafters later today, but definitely off stream. It's a combo game for sure. Agree. I wanted 1 Mega Cincy stack. I'll never draft T Higgins at the 2-3 turn again. Thanks for the stream, Steve. Appreciate that. Good luck. The snow. Appreciate the noon stream. Yeah, I'll be doing these a lot. Thanks for the reviews. Have a good day. Appreciate you guys. Hope everyone has a good day. I'll be back tomorrow. Should be 1 o'clock again, but obviously check the Discord, check Twitter. But yeah, hope everyone is doing well and having a great day and enjoying their drafts. And I will catch you next time.